Rundown: ESL's 2025 circuit in detail and changes. Katowice and Cologne, stage 1 will be 16 teams invited from the global Valve ranking system. Double limb BO3 bracket. Holy sweet baby Jesus. My God. Stage 2, 8 teams invited from global Valve ranking system. 8 teams advanced from stage 1. 2 double elimination BO3 groups. Okay. Playoffs, 6 teams advanced from stage 2, single elimination format. All right. And it will be a BO5 final. I already know this. Disclaimer, I saw one of ESL's tweets and they kind of did the, Zoomer fucking bullet point emoji shit. And yeah, I mean, my TikTok brain fucking liked that a lot. So I read it. IEM Spring, IEM Chengdu. So master level IEMs other than Katowice and Cologne will retain the same format as seen in previous iterations. 16 teams playing 2 double elimination brackets for 6 spots in the playoffs. However, unlike in previous ESL events, will no longer host qualifiers for Spring or Chengdu, as instead all teams will be invited via the ranking system. Regional representation will still be ensured. So qualifiers for these events gone. Immediately concerning, I'll be honest. Anyway, so it'll be 16 teams invited, 10 global from the rankings, then 2 for sure EU, 2 for sure Americas, 2 Asian. 2 double elimination BO3 groups, 6 teams advanced from the group stage. It seems like they're at least keeping with the consistent format, which will be nice. Oh, IEM Dallas is back for sure. Oh, let's go, dude. That feels good. So for those of you that didn't know, I really wasn't sure if IEM Dallas would be here because 1, there's going to be the major in Austin, and 2, from my understanding, the venue that they've been using for Dallas isn't it's not the same. Like, I think at that convention center, they're like redoing it. I heard somebody make the joke or like say it's so old that like, or not the joke, but like to give perspective is like, this is where Elvis used to play or some shit. I already saw it, D-Man, and I'll look at it here in a second. The format remains the same once again for Dallas, but the teams will be decided via combination of rankings, invites, and qualifiers. So that's good. We have qualifiers for this. So 8 teams invited, 5 EU, 1 NA, 1 South American, 1 Asian. 8 teams qualified, same thing. Then same format for playoffs. But it looks like there'll be a qualifier this time, which will be nice. Pro League, wasn't sure if this would be still around, given how fucking big of a monstrosity it is in the calendar, because it's like 3 weeks long. It used to be 5 weeks. First of all, it will be reduced to 24 teams from 32. It's actually crazy how like Pro League is kind of just like turned into, it's not really a league of anything anymore. It's just like a large major. And like it's almost, yeah, it's like ESL's like, I don't even know. Like at this point, with how many teams are involved and how long it runs, it's basically very similar to the major, if I'm not mistaken. But it looks like it's going to be Swiss stage groups. And then half the teams will be directly invited, while the other half will come from ESL Challenger leagues in Europe, North America, South America, Asia, Oceania, and Challenger winners from this year's Atlanta FlyQuest and Katowice. Okay. We have the major at home vibe. Yes. All right. So stage 1 will be 4 teams invited from Valve ranking. 10 teams qualify. 2 teams qualify from Atlanta, Katowice. BO3 Swiss format. Stage 2, 8 teams invited. 8 teams advance. BO3 Swiss format again, and then 8 teams advance from stage 2 to a single elimination format. The only difference for the second ESL Pro League is how the team distribution will change between invites. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, is it because they're going to have more from the quali? Yes, I think I'm understanding this correctly. I think. But overall, I mean, I think the format changes are good. I mean, undeniably, the fact that ESL, if you guys weren't catching up on the theme here, there's no more best of ones. Best of ones have been eliminated from all ESL. There's nothing here is a best of one anywhere. There's not a best of one anywhere in sight. All these finals will be best of 5s. I'm curious as to like where IEM Spring and where Pro League will be at. I'll get to like what concerns me. It's not really in this post quite yet. So I'm gonna kind of go to this isn't a jab at ESL, by the way. I'm just using this as like the starting point, right? Like to segue into this. All right. So there are 408 participants in the 25 events hosted by ESL, Blast, PGL, Starlighter, and Fissure in 2025. How many of those do you think come from qualifiers? So there's going to be 408 teams, right, that are playing in all these different events throughout the year. How many teams do you think are ever going to have like so basically what I'm saying is how many teams are actually going to have to like get the opportunity to play in rather than just have to get invited? And the answer is 43 teams. 15 of the 22 events are just straight invite style events. So, and I know this is going to put this is where things get weird, man. This is where this whole format is going to get really freaking weird, because stuff like this is good. Like, this is actually all good things. This is the fact that we have so many events is good. Downside, because we're relying so heavily on the Valve ranking system, if you don't have, this is all great for the top, right? If you're a top 30 team right now, if you're a top 20 team right now, you're like, yes, this is sick. And if you're not a part of that cool kids club, you are in the fucking bin. You're in the bin. And it's going to rely on regional events, which if you're from North America, if I don't run any, like literally me with Jason Lake, you are going to be fucked. You're going to be on the outside looking in with very little opportunity to basically push your way in there. Remember, it's rumored as well for the majors that they're getting rid of the RMRs. And some people have said, you know, that's a good thing. It's the major. It's supposed to be the most exclusive thing. And I think that's a valid point. But the problem is there's like no avenue in for any upcoming team. You're heavily incentivized to sit here and basically, honestly, you're going to create a problem where everybody's just recycling players as well to maintain like their spots. You're going to have people try to maintain their Valve ranking system as much as they possibly can. You're not really going to see, I feel like, potentially, I should say this, there's still more to like learn, but there's still like, you know, teams basically being formed. Let's just say like 5 tier 1 pros that are the leftovers of other teams coming together. And let's say they actually start to get a little bit of steam underneath them. There's a real reality where basically if they don't like carve, there's only like a couple ways in to this event. Like, you have to basically win all your regions events if they have any, or you need to like qualify through a challenger event, which there's only 2 of, to then like make your way into a pro league and then do really well at pro league. And then once you get your ranking system up, then work your way. Like it's the possibility is technically there. Like, I don't want to make it seem like there's zero chance, but you're also heavily incentivized, I feel like, with this system to make it so that way you're constantly maintaining your Valve ranking points to maintain your invites. And then that way you don't have to worry about losing those points and working your way back up, because after a certain point, I'm sure somebody will figure out where the breaking point is based on what ESL was putting. I'd say like around top 20, like in right in here. If you're like on this side of things, like right in here, it could be a bit dicey. And then anything after like 30, you're going to be kind of in a tough spot. And this is what people don't realize, man, is look at how many teams are salaried in Counter-Strike, right? Like, dude, look at, now I realize I might scroll past like 1 or 2 like NA teams that don't have like full org support, but like, do you realize like we got Ty Lue at 99, man? Like there's so much like in the scene. It's actually kind of, this team just fucking beat, where is it? NIP. Where was it? Shit. I mean, I know not all of these are like fully salaried teams, but it's pretty fucking wicked, like what's going on. So it's just, my point is like a lot of these teams are relying on opportunities to qualify through smaller events, then working their way in there and kind of carving their way in there, where I just feel like their opportunities are going to be more limited, and the expectations are going to be even higher when you do kind of like carve your way in there a little bit, because you need to. Like, if you're on one of these fringe teams and you qualify for an event and say you bomb at a tournament, before it used to be like, hey, you know what? They'll probably get some more opportunities. It's okay. Like, they're just getting more experience. They'll be back. Now it's like, dude, they didn't fucking make it. We're not going to see them for 6 months. Valve has to step in, but they won't as always. I mean, you can't be, this is Valve's system, brother. I mean, this isn't, as much as I would like to sit here and, no, this is because Valve stepped in. This is actually because Valve didn't step in and let ESL and Blast kind of do what they wanted when they axed fully franchised leagues, and then they kind of did what they did. So Valve is trying their best to, and this is what I keep talking about, is we're going to have a lot of growing pains, and this is going to be a great it's going to suck for so many people, but this circuit I think could end up being much better than what we already had. I think it's going to suck for at least a year for those bottom teams. I think if you are trying to navigate Counter-Strike and you're not already a part of that top 30 conversation, it's going to be very difficult. I think having a system like this is actually way healthier for the Counter-Strike scene than what we previously had. I actually think I'm pointing out the flaws and trying to show you guys like what I feel like is going to potentially go wrong and what is wrong. But that doesn't also mean that all of it is crashing down. You know, it's just because if this type of feedback isn't out there, if people don't bring attention to it, then it doesn't get fixed. But also, that doesn't mean that this is literally end of the world. It's a learning process. Learning process is difficult. Change is difficult. It's going to suck. And I don't want anybody to, you know, lose their livelihood or like feel like they got clapped because of this. But at some point, like, things did have to change because it was getting pretty fucking, I mean, the previous system was entirely flawed, whether you want to like recognize it. I know we all got comfortable with it, but it was flawed. So yeah, it's just going to take time. It's going to suck. People are going to have a hard time with it, but it's going to take just basically people giving consistent feedback. And there's no way to get the feedback unless you fail. Like you can't literally progress without failing. Like that's literally life, man. So there's going to be some failure points. It's just going to be critical for people to mention it, point it out, and point out what the flaws are so they can be worked on.